episode 64 of Unapologetically Overcoming. I'm your host, Jess Marie. This is the place where we have the hard and sometimes uncomfortable conversations. It's a place for us all to feel safe, seen, heard, supported, and not so alone. Listen in to today's episode as my guest and I have an interesting, informative, and unapologetic conversation about hypnotherapy. All right. I am really looking forward to this interview with my guest today. We are here to talk about a topic that people are probably familiar with, but I can almost guarantee there are some stigmas, misconceptions, misrepresentations around this topic. So I am very excited to welcome my guest today. I'm going to turn it over to him and allow him to introduce himself and let you all know a little bit about who he is and what he does. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, Jess, thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been looking forward to this. I've been wanting to talk about this with your show for a little bit now, so I'm glad we finally found the time.
Yes, me too. Me too. So tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and the work that you do and all that fun stuff.
All right. Well, I'm a hypnotherapist. My name is Craig Meriwether, and the name of my practice is Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. I'm more on the clinical side of things, meaning I work with people who have struggled with trauma. They maybe deal with chronic anxiety or anger issues, or even just, lack of confidence, feeling unworthy or overwhelmed, as well as more medical issues like pain control, healing acceleration, that kind of thing. And this is a fascinating modality. It's very different than talk therapy. This is not talk therapy. What we're doing is using the power of your subconscious mind. So you heal yourself. I'm not going to heal you. And hypnotherapy in and of itself doesn't really heal anybody. You heal yourself because, one, who better to know what the problem is than you? And two, who better to know what the answer is than you? And so, again, what we're working with is the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind, that's the part of mind that's running your immune system and your digestive system and growing our hair and growing our bodies from day one to being an adult. All this stuff is happening automatically. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about beating our heart. And that's wonderful because that takes a lot of power and energy to have to do that. And we don't have to think about it. It also holds on to those habits, habits like tying our shoes and zipping up our jacket and driving a car and riding a bicycle and walking. These are all things we, again, don't have to think about. You just walk down the street. You just, put on your shoes. The things you don't think about because they are all that information on how to do it is stored within your subconscious mind. But its main job is to keep you safe and protected. Its main job is for survival, which doesn't necessarily mean your happiness and your success in life. It means it wants you alive. And one of the ways it does this is by creating files, so to speak, on the hurt and the pain you've experienced in life. So if sort of your subconscious mind has this filing cabinet filled with files, things that have been traumatic, things that have caused fear and terror and anger and humiliation and embarrassment, pretty much since day one all the way up to, earlier this morning. And if it stores these files in this filing cabinet and all the information you bring in through your five senses, what you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, all this information is coming through your five senses, being filtered through this filing cabinet. If anything in your external environment registers or triggers one of those files, you'll get a warning signal. Now, if somebody pulls a fire alarm in a building, you get the sirens are going off, the lights are going off, warning everybody that there's danger. You need to get to safety right now. Well, we also have a warning system in our bodies, but instead of lights and sirens, we have feeling states. And so the feeling state of anxiety, the feeling state of fear, feeling state of anger, worry, overwhelm, these are warning signals that there is danger in your external environment. And we need that. That's what keeps us from walking down the dark alley at midnight, even though it's a shortcut home. No. Don't go to the dark alley. Go to the lighted streets, the crowded streets. Here in Arizona, at least in the southern part of Arizona, you're walking out in nature on a beautiful trail and in the desert, and there's a rattlesnake on the trail. Move
Uh-huh.
away from the rattlesnake.
Yes. Yes.
Don't pet the rattlesnake. It is not your friend.
No,
And so
no.
move away from it. Make yourself the fight in the street or the restaurant, the bar, whatever. Make yourself small. Move away from that. Move away from the edge of the Grand Canyon. So
Mhm.
fear and anxiety has a place in our life. It keeps us safe. That warning signal when it becomes unresourceful, not very resilient, it may be protecting us from something that happened a long time ago. Because
Mhm.
again, it wants to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And and maybe let's just say, for example, somebody grew up in a house that wasn't very safe, in a
Mhm.
home that wasn't very safe. The parents argued.
Yeah.
They got in a lot of fights. Maybe there was abuse in the house. And the best thing for that child to do was to make themselves small
Yeah.
and to hide. That's a great way to keep yourself safe. That's a great defense
Yeah.
mechanism, especially for a child.
Yep.
And those instructions got installed through trauma and through terror. Well, those instructions are still in there
Hmm.
because they haven't been replaced. They haven't,
Yeah.
that file is still in there. So if anything, let's say, for example, um, somebody is in their office at work, they're doing the marketing, they're the marketing person, and Bill and Fred next door, the accounting guys, once again are getting into their argument because the monthly numbers aren't adding up. And so the raised voices happen and they're shouting at each other. Has nothing to do with you. You're not, have nothing to do with the accounting. And Bill and Fred are idiots. And they're here they go arguing again. And yet also maybe this fear, this anxiety, your palms start getting sweaty because you hear these raised voices.
Hmm.
Also, you feeling really afraid. You're not sure why because it's just Bill and Fred and what else is going on today. And it's because there's this automatic reaction when there's danger. The
Yep.
danger is the raised voices because maybe that was very unsafe when you were growing up. And
Yeah.
so you'll start changing physically. That stress response will turn on. Adrenaline and cortisol will start
Hmm.
creating in your brain. Adrenaline, you probably heard the crazy stories of grandmothers lifting cars off of babies.
Yes. Yes.
Adrenaline doing that. We're creating these neural peptides. The reason you feel that way in your body is because these molecules the brain creates called neural peptides, hundreds of millions of these molecules dumping into your bloodstream of looking for cells that will have the right receptors to give the message of emotion to the body. So these are literal molecules of fear, molecules of anxiety, molecules of anger dumping into your bloodstream. 300% more blood moving to the big muscles of your arms to fight, 300% more blood moving to the big muscles of your legs to escape. This has to come from somewhere. So
Yeah.
the power on your immune system is dropping, the power on your digestive system is dropping. This is why people get irritable bowel syndrome due to stress and anxiety, all because Bill and Fred
Mhm.
next door are having their monthly argument over
Uh-huh.
the accounting. And so this all happens automatically. Why? Because your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe.
Hmm.
And so this is a very emotionalized part of mind.
Yeah.
It is for you. It is for your safety, your health,
Hmm.
and to keep you protected. It is for you. It's not against you, but its main job is to keep you safe and protected. That's subconscious mind. Conscious mind is that logical part of mind, that analytical part of mind, that part of mind that um, creates your goals, creates the plans to achieve those goals, the willpower, to get
Yep.
up an hour early before work to go to the gym. That's the conscious part of mind. But what neuroscience says is that conscious mind only makes up 5% of mind. Subconscious mind makes up 95% of mind. So whenever there's conflict between the logical mind, the analytical mind, and the emotional mind wins every time. That's why you can sit there and think, why am I getting upset by Bill
Uh-huh.
and Fred arguing
Yeah.
next door? It doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't make any sense.
Hmm.
Logically, it doesn't.
Right.
And it's difficult to talk about with your friends or maybe even a counselor or a therapist or
Yeah.
something because logically it doesn't make any sense why you're getting upset with these two idiots next door arguing once
Uh-huh.
again because it's all in the emotional mind. And that's the difference between talk therapy, what happens in talk therapy, which is very helpful, very
Uh-huh.
useful. Uh, but the difference between talk therapy and therapeutic hypnosis
Hmm.
in that you know what the problem is because your
Right.
subconscious mind is trying to protect you from it.
Yeah.
And so that emotional state you're feeling in your body that's literally creating a physical change within your body, right? Turning on the stress response, the fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system, and doing all those changes of blood supply into the big muscles and all that. That's happening automatically because it's trying to protect you. It
Mhm.
knows what it's trying to protect you from because it doesn't happen all the time. It
Yeah.
only happens in certain instances. And maybe you're consciously aware of what those circumstances are. Maybe it's all unconscious.
Hmm.
Sort of like the person who maybe they were in a car accident when they're 12 years old. I'm not driving, obviously, but they're in the back seat of
Yeah.
a car and they got in a car accident with a red pickup truck.
Uh-huh.
head-on collision. And now 50 years old, they don't even remember the car accident. That was so long ago. And they're driving down the street, and it's a beautiful day. The traffic is easy. And the windows are down, the music's on. It couldn't be a more gorgeous day. And they arrive at their destination all just tense, and they're gripping the steering wheel, and they're really uptight. And they just, I don't know what happened. It was such a beautiful day. And it's maybe because of their peripheral vision, they saw a red pickup truck parked in a parking lot.
Uh-huh.
Subconscious mind knows what it's trying to protect you from. And it wasn't coming head on, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
huge danger, enough to like trigger a little bit of the warning signal,
Yep.
just slightly. And so this is where people can you know feel emotions and not really understand why. Your subconscious mind knows exactly why
Yeah.
it's changing that way. To change your brain chemistry in that way can only happen in the way we're talking about right now, is through a thought or a memory,
Uh-huh.
whether it's conscious or unconscious. So it
Yeah.
knows why it's doing it. And so that's where the power comes.
Hmm.
In that I'm not here to figure you out or even to fix you.
Hmm.
Hypnotherapy in and of itself, again, is not here to figure out or fix you. You're going to fix yourself because,
Yeah.
again, you know what the problem is, maybe unconsciously. But again, that's the part of the mind we're using, the
Yeah.
unconscious. And so there's where the power comes. And there's nothing magical or mystical about this work. And what you started off a few minutes ago, just talking about, there's a lot of baggage to
Hmm.
this work. It's
Yeah.
unfortunate due to the naming of this work, and also the using the same terminology for the entertainment side of things.
Yep.
And whether you've maybe seen a show in Las Vegas or a
Uh-huh.
comedy club or a YouTube video, let alone what's going on in movies and TV shows. But
Yes.
a lot of people, they say, "Oh, I don't want to, have them make me bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken." It's like, one, why would I do that? That's an
Yeah.
odd thing.
Right.
Maybe once or twice at the beginning, but after a while, that's got to get kind of old. But one,
Yeah.
what a strange thing for me to want somebody to do.
Uh-huh.
And but also, I think it's more of that loss of control.
Hmm.
And again, it's just not that I can make anybody do anything.
Right.
I can't. Otherwise, smoking cessation, which is what hypnotherapy is really famous for,
Yeah.
that'd be 100% guarantee. I
Right.
can make people who don't want to quit smoking, I can make them quit smoking,
Right.
but I can't. I
Yeah.
can make everybody pay me $1,000 for every session. I
Yeah.
cannot,
Right.
because they don't want to. If you don't
Yeah.
want to quit smoking, you're not going to quit smoking.
Right.
If you don't want to pay me $1,000 every session, then you're not going to do that. We're going to
Yeah.
have a more reasonably priced session. And
Uh-huh.
so I can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And well, I saw this Las Vegas show. It's like,
Hmm.
yes, everybody up on stage volunteered to be up there.
Yeah.
They
Right.
wanted to be up there. They bought a ticket to the show. Once
Yep.
one, they wanted to go. Oh my God, there's a hypnotherapy, or not
Yeah.
hypnotherapy, but hypnotist show, I guess. And let's go to that. And then they pay money to buy a ticket. They sit
Hmm.
in their seat,
Yep.
and when the hypnotist comes on, hey everybody, we're here to have a fun time and have a great. Who wants to come up on stage and have a really fun time? And all these people raise their hands. And who's
Right.
the hypnotist going to pick? The person not wanting to go up on stage is like, oh, I'm not going up.
Yeah.
No, they're picking the person who's jumping up and down and waving their hands. Me, me, me,
Yep.
me.
Yeah.
Because they're so excited, and
Right.
this person has to give a good show.
Yep.
People paid a lot of money to be entertained.
Hmm.
And so, 10, 12 people who all volunteered to be up there, and they go, once they get up on stage, they go down the line, what's your name and where are you from? And do you want to go into hypnosis and have a really great time? And yes, we do.
Yeah.
Because they want to do it. They say yes like 7 times between
Uh-huh.
buying the ticket to getting up on stage.
Uh-huh.
And the reason they do that is because they're extroverts, they're
Right.
exhibitionists.
Yep.
They want to be up there. They want to
Uh-huh.
look funny in front of their friends. They want a funny video to put on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to have fun. And guess what? They do. They
Yeah.
have time.
Yep.
And so, what if you want to heal? What if you do want to quit smoking? What are the chances that you can actually do that?
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. Again, there's nothing magical or mystical about this. In fact, the word hypnosis comes from the Greek god Hypnos,
Uh-huh.
who is the Greek god of sleep. And
Right.
back in the 1850s, there was a doctor in England by the name of Dr. James Bard. He was a surgeon. And back in the 1850s, there's no fancy hospitals, there's no
Mhm.
fancy anesthesia. If you're a commoner and you had to have your leg amputated, you're biting down on a stick,
Oh my
or
God.
you're,
I can't
you know,
imagine that. My
yeah,
gosh.
and or like a blow to the head to knock you unconscious. And so, what
Jeez.
Dr. James Bard started doing was using this deep, 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 deep trance state to put people so far under into trance it looked like they were in a coma. And then you could do amputation. You could cut people open and take out
Oh.
tumors and sew them back up. You could deal with war wounds and injuries and all sorts of things. Now,
Uh-huh.
he, of course, did not invent trance states, certainly over in India and Egypt and South America and Aboriginals of Australia and all sorts of places. They're using trance in their healing and spiritual work thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
But Dr. James Barr started using it in 1850,
Uh-huh.
needing a word to describe this coma-like state to his colleagues and to write about it. He decided to name it after the Greek god of sleep. And so he
Mhm.
named it hypnosis. And ever since then, this word has grown to encompass all sorts of these trance-like states, something even trance states that we find ourselves in every day.
Uh-huh.
If you've ever had the experience, Jess, or your listeners have ever had the experience of just driving home after work or after picking up the kids from school or whatever, and you start thinking about, oh, the presentation I have to get ready for work on tomorrow, or the PowerPoint presentation I got to get together, or I got people coming over, I got family coming over on the weekend, I need to get the house together. And you
Uh-huh.
start thinking about all these things, your to-do list, start future thinking, and all of a sudden you find yourself in your driveway, your
Yeah.
parking spot, or your garage, or whatever, and you
Yep.
can't remember the last 5 or 6 blocks. You just put yourself in a trance state.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
put yourself in a hypnotic trance state.
Yep.
Now, your subconscious mind took over the driving, just like it takes over tying your shoes or
Uh-huh.
walking down the street or riding a bicycle. Things you don't have to think about because you've done it
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah.
If you lived in that home or that apartment or wherever for a couple of years,
Uh-huh.
365 days a year, if you lived there 3, 4 years, you've driven home thousands of times.
Right. Probably
Who
do it
knows
with
how
your
to
eyes
do it?
closed.
Yeah, and so you just drive home, and or anything. You're at a
Yep.
meeting at work, or
Hmm.
you back. You remember back in school, maybe there was a class that you didn't like so much, so you just started daydreaming,
Yep.
and you
Zone
started
out.
staring out the window, and you don't hear what the teachers. That Ferris Bueller, that famous scene in
Yes.
Ferris Bueller where all the kids are just drooling on the tables. He put every one of those kids in a trance state, just like if you're back, you're in that meeting at work, or you're back at school, and you just start staring out the window, thinking about the weekend and how much fun the weekend's going to be.
Yep.
You put yourself in a trance state. You did that,
Yeah.
and you turned down the external world, and you moved inward. And basically, all you've done is slow down your brainwave state.
Yeah.
That alters your consciousness. So
Uh-huh.
you're literally putting yourself in an altered state of consciousness. And again, it's not scary or anything. It's just kind of a fancy terminology for slowing down how fast the neurons are firing. So when you
Hmm.
walk down the street, drink a glass of water, you think a thought, feel an emotion, uh, you fire brain waves, or you fire brain cells, and that moves in
Uh-huh.
a wave like fashion from the back to the front to back again. That's
Yep.
one, like you and I, Jess, right now, we're in a conscious
Yep.
uh, state of mind, and
Hmm.
we're having a conversation, and we're firing maybe about 18 cycles per second.
Uh-huh.
But let's say I'm back in high school math class, and I've got to do well on the test, so I'm taking notes and I'm paying attention. But man, this is really boring for me. I'm firing at 18 cycles per second. I need to do well on this next test, but I just start doing one of these. I start staring out the window,
Hmm.
and I'm thinking about the weekend and how much fun it's going to be. And now I've just altered my state of consciousness. I've went from being in the beta brainwave state to the alpha brainwave state, and I've moved inward. I'm in a daydreamy state. I don't Teacher's still talking, the kids are
Yeah.
still whatever shooting spitballs and talking, asking questions and all that.
Yep.
But I don't pay attention to any of that. I've moved inward. I've moved into the alpha brainwave state. I'm firing
Hmm.
around 12 cycles per second.
Yeah.
Then my eyes get heavy and my head starts nodding down, and I'm not really asleep, but I'm not really awake
Right.
either. That when you get to sleep in on a Saturday morning, and it's just a really luscious kind of time of mind,
Yeah.
where yeah, you're not really awake, not really asleep.
Hmm.
That's the theta brainwave state. So you're firing about 6 cycles per second, and pretty soon I'm going to be in delta. I'm going to be fast asleep,
Uh-huh.
firing at 1/2 cycle per second. But the teacher sees me and says, "Hey, Craig, why don't you come up here and do the problem on the board?" And I jolt
Like, oh
awake, and
wait.
all the kids are staring at me. Teacher's looking at me really,
Uh-huh.
really pissed off. and I'm looking at the board and I'm looking at this equation. I don't know how to do that. I wasn't paying attention. And
Yep.
now I'm firing about 30 cycles per second. I'm in high beta. I'm stressed.
Hmm.
So just in a course of a matter of 5, 6, 7 minutes, I've altered my state of consciousness 3 or 4 times.
Right,
And this is
right.
what we do all day long. And what we do
Yeah.
in therapeutic hypnosis is take advantage of that.
Hmm.
You already do. We're not doing anything you're not doing already. And and not to blame the person who's dealing with a trauma,
Uh-huh.
especially an early childhood trauma. Not to
Yeah.
blame, not say it was their fault. It was certainly unfair. It shouldn't have happened.
Right.
Not to blame the victim, but they're the ones who installed those instructions into their mind on how to keep them safe.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe that was the best thing a child could have done is to
Right.
hide, to keep themselves small, to keep themselves safe. And they're the ones who install those instructions on how to do that. And again, not to blame them or say it was their fault, but it actually becomes very empowering because if you're
Right.
the one who installed those instructions, you're the one who can change
Who
them.
can change them? Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's where the power comes from. And I know I've
Yep.
been uh, talking a mile a minute because I want to sure we get everything in, but
Yeah.
basically whatever that was, 5, 6, 7 minutes, that's kind of the gist of what we do in therapeutic hypnosis.
Yeah.
It's it's not unlike talk therapy in that we're dealing with hurt and pain that may be stored
Hmm.
for a long period of time. It's just the way it gets healed is different. And that's why this doesn't take 80, 90, 100 sessions over
Right.
2 years.
Yeah.
Still there's being bad, but I still hurt. I'm
Yeah.
still in pain. It's because probably you've been talking about a problem or two.
Hmm.
You're not talking about the problem
Right.
because you don't know
Right.
what it is. It's
Yeah.
unconscious in that
Yeah.
filing cabinet because maybe it happened when you were 5,
Uh-huh.
4 years old. And who
Yep.
remembers that anyway? Let
Yeah.
alone, maybe your subconscious wants to put a curtain around it
Uh-huh.
because it hurts.
Yeah.
And again, while your subconscious mind is for you, it's to protect you. And so maybe it wants to kind of block out some of those earlier issues. Doesn't mean you
Mhm.
can't heal them.
Yeah.
This means that you may not exactly know what it is. And so you may be talking about stuff that, yeah, happened when you're a teenager or in your 20s or something. But if the real problem that's the foundation of all that happened when you were 7, that's what
Yeah.
needs to be healed.
Yeah.
The other stuff will collapse
Hmm.
under the weight, like a house of cards or dominoes. It'll all fall because if the foundation of the hurt you experienced as a teenager or in your 20s is built upon that, trauma you experienced as a 7-year-old, you heal that trauma, there's
Yeah.
nothing to stand on.
Yeah.
So it's pretty extraordinary what the human mind can do.
Absolutely. It really is.
Yeah, and it's almost just basically computer programming.
Hmm.
And computer programming is not for you or against you. It just is.
Right.
And if let's say, you, Jess, or one of your listeners, let's say you're writing a computer programming for your business, accounting programming for your
Uh-huh.
business, and you put in there 2 + 2 = 5.
Hmm.
Well, it doesn't matter how much you type on your keyboard or slam your keyboard with your fist out of frustration,
Yep.
uh, or talk to your friend about, or talk to your therapist about how unfair 2 + 2 = 5 is.
Hmm.
Or, you take a Sharpie, you take a marker and you write 2 + 2 = 4 all over your computer screen.
Uh-huh.
Not until you go into the code, you
Right.
look for where that code is. It's like, oh, there it is,
Yeah.
2 + 2 = 5. That's weird. So you amend it, you edit it, you
Uh-huh.
you take it, you delete it, whatever you need to do. You write in 2 + 2 = 4, press save, now all your equations equal out.
Right.
And it literally can
Yeah.
be that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I generally tell people with therapeutic hypnosis, and just because depending on what the problem is,
Hmm.
but 3, 4 sessions, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and that's probably it.
Uh-huh. Which,
To fix it,
yeah.
and talk about it to fix it.
Yep. Yep.
It's pretty extraordinary.
It is. It is. And like, it's so funny because for someone who doesn't understand it, it probably seems way more complicated. But the way that you just kind of broke things down and explained it as like the whole filing cabinet thing and like your subconscious and like, it really makes, like, for me anyway, made it a whole lot easier to understand like how your brain is working and, the things that it's doing and how kind of easily
Yeah.
you can make it work in a different way so that it's
Yeah.
it's not that constant like anxiety or you're being triggered by something and you don't even realize it because you haven't worked through it in that way. So it really is, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And like I said, the way that you explained it really broke it down and made it so much simpler to understand. And maybe by some, people listening who have questions or have been curious about maybe trying this out, that will help them be like, okay, it doesn't sound like it's as hard or as complicated as I thought it was
No.
before. So
Yeah, and here's a great example of this. I'm glad you brought that up because here's a great example. This is a true story. A
uh-huh.
client I worked with a few years ago, and uh, back in 2020, 2021, I was doing Zoom classes for the cancer support community of Arizona. Of course, we're in the COVID era, and
Yes.
especially with the cancer support community, we're not doing live classes
Like in
anymore.
person. Yeah, no,
Compromise
definitely
immune
not.
systems. And yeah, they're the first ones to shut down, and at least in my life, they're the
Yeah.
first ones to shut it all down in terms of live classes and things. So we all went to Zoom, which was
Uh-huh.
actually nice because now instead of just working in with this little community uh, within a handful of miles, I got the whole state of Arizona. I got the whole country. I actually
Oh,
had
that's
somebody from
awesome.
like Norway or something join the
Oh,
class one.
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty extraordinary because
It
it's
is.
and it works really well over Zoom,
Yeah.
doing this kind of work. And what the research shows, really quick, a quick aside here, in terms of Zoom sessions, the virtual sessions, whether it's talk therapy or hypnotherapy or a doctor's appointment or something, what the research has shown over the last few years is that Zoom sessions work as well as in person. And what's extraordinary is some studies even indicate Zoom sessions work better than in person because
Yeah.
people feel comfortable
I was just gonna say
and
that.
calm and relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah. You feel safe in
Yeah.
your home.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Like,
And well, it's also that thing if you live in a big city and you don't have to drive across town on a
uh-huh.
Friday afternoon during rush hour traffic to try to get your
Yeah.
appointment on time. It's just really convenient and feel relaxed in your homes. But so anyway, so I'm doing these classes for the cancer support community. There's like a series of classes where we do pain control and healing acceleration and immune system boosting and things like that.
Hmm.
And you're getting 12, 15 people per class. And in one series, there is a older woman who is in the class. I'm guessing she's about 70 years old.
Uh-huh.
And she'd done two classes. Again, these are just general classes on a specific topic.
Yep.
And she'd been to two of the classes. And on the third class, I'm early to the Zoom class because I'm getting the Zoom room ready and
Hmm.
just waiting for people to be there. And she was early to the class, so we just are chit-chatting, waiting for everybody else to show up and start class. And she asked me if hypnotherapy works with procrastination. And yeah, that's a defense mechanism. You want to move away from what seems
Yep.
dangerous. Again, the rattlesnake in the trail, the dark alley, the edge of the Grand Canyon. But when it becomes unresourceful, now you're moving away from something that's, possibly beneficial to you,
Right.
right? That getting that report done at work that maybe will help you get the promotion now manage a large department, which
Uh-huh.
subconsciously seems scary to you. So
Yeah.
then you sabotage yourself, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a mindset issue that can be helped with hypnotherapy.
Mhm.
I had an appointment the very next afternoon, an opening. So we scheduled it for the very next day. And
Uh-huh.
what's fascinating about this work is once you realize healing is going to happen, your subconscious mind, the gears start turning. It's like, well, we can work on a problem, but
Mhm.
not, why not work on the problem?
Yeah.
And so when she got to the appointment just 24 hours later, she says, I know I told you I wanted to work on procrastination, but what I really want to work on is why I don't matter in life. This is a 70-year-old woman who thinks she doesn't matter, who feels
Oh,
she is worthless in the world. Yeah, it's extraordinary. That it must really hurt, to
yes.
feel that. And so you feel that in the body somewhere. You could
Yeah.
literally point to this is where I feel anxiety. This is where I feel anger. This is where I feel unworthy. There's
Uh-huh.
different places people feel stuff. You
Yeah.
feel that way in the body. Remember, you have to change that brain chemistry. The only way to change that brain chemistry in that way is through a thought or memory, even if it's
Mhm.
unconscious.
Yeah.
So there's a connection, there's a tether. Sometimes it's just as easy to follow the feeling state back
Hmm.
to the thought or the memory that's creating it, even if it's unconscious. And so that's what we did. We started the work and we get to a point where it seems the best way to deal with this is to heal the original issue.
Uh-huh.
And so we're doing a regression
Yep.
and we're doing the countdown 10 down to one. And by one, you'll be at that very first time you've ever felt that feeling, the origin of that feeling.
Uh-huh.
10 down to 1, and I ask her, "Where are you?" And in her trance state, she says, "I'm standing up in my crib, and my father's screaming at me because I won't stop crying." And I don't know, standing up in a crib, that's what, 12 months old, 14 months old.
Yeah.
And, if she's 70-ish years old, that's maybe the late 1950s, early 1960s. And
Uh-huh.
maybe fathers back then weren't taught how to be the nurturing parents, or maybe her
Right.
father wasn't the greatest father in the world.
Uh-huh.
And maybe dad's having a bad day, a bad week, a bad life, mom's out of the house, and the baby
Uh-huh.
won't stop crying. He doesn't know what to do. And the only thing that comes to, he just wants some peace and quiet. And the only thing he can think to do is to scream louder than the baby and tell the baby to shut up. And in that
Mhm.
instant, that child, like all of us, whether a child, a teenager, an adult, we need to justify what's happening to us.
Yeah.
This is terrifying. This is
Yeah.
scary. And here's this person who's supposed to nurture her and love her and protect her, and now it's screaming at her.
Hmm.
And that child, the only way the mind of the child could justify why this is happening is, well, I guess I don't matter.
Hmm.
I guess I must be worthless. Now, is that true or is that false? It doesn't matter. That's the
Right.
instructions that were installed. That's what kept that child safe in what may have been an abusive household.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just dad having a bad evening,
Right.
and
Right.
doesn't know how to take care of the baby because he's a
Uh-huh.
man of the 50s.
Yeah.
But in that instant, that child needing a way to explain this, to justify it, came up with, I guess I don't matter. I guess
Oh,
I'm worthless. And held on to those instructions for some 70 years
for a
until
long
one day she
time.
decided to change it. I
Uh-huh.
never saw her again after that. She healed it because, again, she knew
Wow.
what the problem was,
Right.
and she knew what to do to heal the child. And
Uh-huh.
she did. And we
Awesome.
check up on each other over the
Hmm.
course of a year or so and email back and forth every few
Uh-huh.
months. Doing fantastic.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
basically, she did about 2 or 3 general sessions on a medical issue of pain control, healing acceleration, that
Uh-huh.
kind of thing in a generalized setting of a class. Did one solo session
Hmm.
specifically on an issue she didn't know the cause of,
Right.
and walked away healed.
Wow. That's
That's
incredible.
how powerful, not I am or hypnotherapy, that's how powerful you are.
Yeah.
And so this, again, this doesn't take a long time. Now that was her specific situation,
Right.
and she had primed her nervous system with a couple of generalized classes
Hmm.
and she learned how to relax the mind and the body to get
Yeah.
into the trance state,
Yeah.
to heal. And we just took it a little bit deeper. She was
Yeah.
already swimming in the pool. I'm lifeguarding. She's
Uh-huh.
swimming in the pool. And it's like, it's time to go over to the deep end and
Yeah.
search for the quarter at
Yeah.
the bottom of the pool. And she did it
That's awesome.
and never saw her again, and she
Yeah.
was doing
Cool.
fantastic with all the checkups. So that's how simple this can be. And
Yeah.
and um and not to say, again, people take the time they need to heal.
Hmm.
This isn't going to take 80, 90, 100 sessions over
Right.
years to heal this. You
Yeah.
know, you're allowed to, change the instructions within your mind anytime you
Hmm.
like. It's just
Hmm.
most of the time nobody tells you you can do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
I feel like you basically answered all of my questions that I
Oh,
had in all of that explanation, which is awesome.
yeah.
So I don't want to run out of time. So
Right.
I'm going to ask you, I ask all of my guests this question. I'm really big on inspirational quotes and messages. So I always ask my guests if they have one that resonates with them that they would like to share with the listeners. And I mean, it can absolutely relate to this topic that we covered, or it can just be one that like you carry with you that you
Yeah.
really like.
Well, this is one I carry with me, and it's from Maya Angelou. Maybe other people
Mhm.
have said this one because it's a really great quote.
Love her.
But she says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Hmm.
And I take that with me a lot because, especially like tonight, we're my wife and I are going to a friend's birthday party.
Uh-huh.
And I know, I can talk about myself and my day and the latest movie I just saw or the TV show
Yeah.
I'm watching on Netflix. But it's really what they're going to remember is how I made them feel. And
Absolutely.
like, you know, asking them how they're doing,
Hmm.
what's going on in your life and
Yeah.
making them, you've heard that maybe at a networking event, you know, make that person feel like they're the most important person in the world and they
Yes.
will remember you. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of truth to that.
Absolutely. I love that so much. I love my Angelou quotes. I actually have one tattooed on my arm
Oh,
of
wow.
hers. So I love all of that so much. And it's so true because people do really remember how you make them feel. Even like
Yeah.
complete strangers. You know what I mean? Like if you compliment someone out in public, like I remember, I feel like I'll be out in public somewhere and my son will be with me and someone will say something to me and he'll be like, "Did you know them?" And I'm like, "No." He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, they were just being, yeah, they were just being nice." Like there's so much power in something so tiny as just making someone feel good. So,
Yeah, just making the cashier who has the
yeah.
world's probably worst job because
Uh-huh.
everybody's by the time they get to the front of the store, they're grumpy. They
Yes.
the store didn't have what they wanted. Now they get to
Yep.
go and they're frustrated, and this
Hmm.
person has to deal with that for 8 hours standing on their feet. Make
Yeah.
them feel wonderful, or the waitress or the waiter or
Yeah.
something. And even just even small things. I remember there's was a wonderful interview with Ian McGregor,
Hmm.
the actor. And of course, he's famous for playing the young Obi-Wan Kenobi in the
Yeah.
Star Wars films.
Uh-huh.
And he says he likes to go, like whether it's a grocery store or an airport or something, there's those automatic sliding doors. He always
Uh-huh.
likes to hand gesture walking into the door so it makes it look like he's using the Jedi Force to
To open the
open the
door.
doors. And he says he does it for himself, but he also hopes that somebody sees him.
Mm.
Because if he's doing that and they just see him out of the corner of their eye, that will maybe bring a smile to their face.
Yeah.
That's just this dumb little stupid thing
Yeah.
that he just hopefully makes somebody's day a little bit better because they
Yeah.
thought that was funny and they saw him do it and what he wasn't doing a big spectacle of it. He was just
Mhm.
waved his hand a little bit and they saw him do it and it made them smile.
Yeah.
It made them feel better.
And
You
sometimes all it takes is something that
know.
small to make a big difference. So I love that. Um, Real quick, where can people find you? Social media,
Sure.
websites, all the info.
Yeah, the best way. The name of my practice again is Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy. I try to find really complicated names that are hard to spell, and so. But I live in Flagstaff, Arizona. Do most of
Okay.
my sessions over Zoom nowadays, but I live in Flagstaff, Arizona. So if you just Google searched Flagstaff Hypnosis or Flagstaff, Arizona Hypnosis, you'll see
Okay.
Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy pop up. There's also, I
Awesome.
have a test anxiety course, not to give you
Oh,
test anxiety, but to eliminate test anxiety and to build confidence. It's a little easier to remember, and it's called ACE Any Test.
okay.
And that's a easier way to kind of remember how to get in touch with me.
All right. We're back real quick to wrap up so that I can ask my last question. Which I really do love hearing people's answers to this question. So I'm happy that we were able to hop back on quick so that we could do this. How do you show up in the world unapologetically?
I've been thinking about this because we were scheduled for a week ago or so,
Yeah.
and so I've had an extra week to kind of think about it. And
Hmm.
I really think the way I show up unapologetically is that at this point in my life, at the age I'm at, I have enough confidence in myself
Hmm.
that other people's opinions of me don't matter to me
Uh-huh.
because they don't know me. And so whether they especially as a hypnotherapist, maybe that's what gave me all the confidence is knowing how powerful this is and knowing there's a lot of people who have a certain opinion of what a hypnotist is all about.
Uh-huh.
Gave me my own ability to stand in the power of my own strength. And maybe that comes with age. Maybe that's just
Yeah.
the work I do, or
Uh-huh.
I don't know, the books I've read or something. But the the wonderful opinions of others don't affect me like maybe they did back in junior high or high school.
Hmm.
And that gives
Yeah.
me a certain, I think, leverage in
Yeah.
life.
Absolutely.
And I don't have to apologize for who I am because I believe in myself. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And it's funny because the post that I shared on my Facebook and Instagram today for the podcast, actually, I'm going to read it to you really quick because it literally was basically what you just said. It's a meme and it says, "My advice, let whoever think whatever." So it's so funny that that was your answer because I think when I was younger, I definitely was so worried about what everyone else was thinking, what they thought of me and their opinions of me. And now, and again, like you said, I don't know if it comes with age or it's just, having been through everything that I've been through in life. Like I don't care either. If you want to think that, go right ahead. I'm still going to lay my head down on the pillow tonight and I'm going to sleep great,
Yeah.
regardless of what you think. So
Yeah. I
I
think
love
it
that.
is Christian, I think this is attributed to Christian Bale, the actor,
Uh-huh.
but someone told he was telling somebody that, or they're asking him like, what do you do about people who like have a problem with you or don't like you or something? And he
Yeah,
says, just have them call me on my cell phone. And if they don't have my cell phone number, they don't know me well enough to have a problem with me, you
exactly.
know? And so it's just like it's just the noise on, especially now with social media. I don't know how the kids do it
I know.
nowadays.
I
I
know.
mean, when I was growing up, the bullies had between, 9 a.m. and
Mhm.
2:30 p.m. And
Yeah,
now it's just like 24/7.
it
I don't
is.
know how the
It
kids
is.
are doing it.
Well,
It's extraordinary.
the adults are doing it too, though. I see
Yeah.
adults bullying each other on social
Yeah.
media. It's terrible. It really is terrible. It's awful.
Yeah.
It makes me
Well, so
so,
that's shielding, and you can create a fake name, and you can have
yeah.
5 different accounts, and
Yep. Hide behind your keyboard. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, thank you so much for
yeah,
joining me today. Thank you for all of that information. Like I said, I truly enjoyed hearing you break it down in such a simple and again easy for me to
yeah,
understand way. And I hope that it made it a little bit easier for other people who maybe had questions or were unsure to understand too. And I will link all of your information in the show notes for the interview today. That way, if anybody wants to work with you or is interested in just even checking out checking out the work that you do, it'll all be there for everybody. So thank you so
yeah.
much.
Yes, I really appreciate it. It was fun talking with you.
This episode was filled with so much information about hypnotherapy. If you'd like to learn more about the work Craig does, all of his information is linked in the show notes for today's episode. If you'd like to connect with me, please check out my website, www.unapologeticlifecoachingllc.com, and make sure you're following me on Instagram at unapologetically_overcoming. Also, please rate and review the podcast. Your feedback means so much to me, and it also helps other listeners find the show. Thank you again to Craig for joining me today. Thank you all for listening, and remember, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and be unapologetically you.